First of all, thank you everybody for attending this workshop. This is the second workshop regarding the security, cyber security aspect. Today our guest is Antonio Forzieri from Splunk. Today we will see the second aspect and another side of the cyber security aspects, right? Especially regarding the how we can performing and security activity and security investigation using Splunk application. Splunk is a technology and is a vendor, is one of the most famous vendor in cybersecurity area. Antonio will show us how is it possible to use different kind of solution, especially SIEM, SOAR, and web technology. And also we will see during this session how is it possible investigate and sort of the advanced persistent threat in one step-by-step approach, okay? Also, my students and also the network security students have a possibility to follow and this sort of the process also using the test environment that Splunk shared maybe two days ago at all the students. And the end, after that, at the end of this presentation, we will have also a surprise because Antonio and his team have prepared and sort of the real use case, very, very nice. And maybe is an opportunity for all to understand better how also combine the technologies that normally we use for security application with artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. During the session, if there are questions, please stop Antonio or me or Francesco. There is another colleague of the Antonio that is here for supporting Antonio during the presentation. And for any kind of the request, don't in terms of to stop Antonio and me, and we are very happy to give any sort of the answer. Okay, Antonio, it's your time if you want to start, and it's for us it's a very pleasure to have you here, and also thank you so much for Splunk support.
Yeah, thank you, Mattia, and hello, guys. Thank you for having me here. And let me give a special thank to Professor Giuseppe Longo. Thank you very much for having me here. It's my pleasure to be here and deliver this lesson. I actually love interacting with students. So, guys, feel free to bomb us with questions. Super open to really answer your question and look into real case question rather than what we have prepared. Together with me here, we have Francesco today. Francesco, is a guy working for Splunk as well. He will be delivering the use case and actually the investigation process by itself. I do recommend to each one of the students who is online just to be prepared to have your browser open and the login credentials I sent you a couple of days ago in order to be able to log in and replicate what Francesco will do for you. Because actually the real fun is practicing rather than telling you to click here and click there, right? So that's the most important thing. Francesco, do you mind sharing the deck that we have here?
Yes, let me try to do it. You should see something. You see something now?
We are not able to see you.
Let me check again.
I think you're picking up the wrong monitor.
I'm missing just a monitor. I don't know. Because we did it before. It looks that it's just a question of clicking the button with sharing. You should see I would say, Antonio, let's do from your side because it looks that there is an issue.
That's why we have a backup plan. Can you see my screen, right? Can you?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry for interrupting. Mattia, perhaps the issue is just that you should promote all of the speakers to organizers, and perhaps Francesco is not an organizer. So you can right-click on his name and promote his role to organizer.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Mattia, do you want to give that a try and we will have Francesco to try resharing, or do you want me to proceed?
Giuseppe Aceto.
Francesco, let me do that.
C'è anche Vincenzo Moscato.
Please mute the mic.
I will say, Antonio, let's go ahead with your sharing because I don't see anymore my sharing button working. So let's use. Okay, so let's make it.
Let's go to the simple route. Can you confirm you can see the agenda slide, right? Can you?
Yep, correct.
So guys, so thank you again for being here today. So the session today, this is the agenda, what we will go through today, right? I will give you a brief introduction who Splunk is. I might easily understand that not many of you know who Splunk is. Probably that's the first time you heard a name like this. So I will go through a very brief introduction. I will then, move to a section where I will tell you basically what Security Operations Suite is. This is 3 tools combined together. These are the 3 same tools that you have access to today, okay? So you will have enterprise security on one side, SOAR platform Phantom on the other side, and you will have the UABA, the machine learning platform, on the other side as well. So I will tell you what these elements are and how we combine them together to do the investigation. So feel free to, click and just be nosy through the interface. And then I will tell you, the scenario we have in front of us, right? So what's going on and what Francesco is going to investigate, right? And then the biggest chunk of the presentation will be basically Francesco guiding you click by click, showing you how you can investigate this campaign, and we will see how we can build the full picture together, okay? So who is Splunk in a nutshell, right? Apologies. Okay. So as you know, right, as of today, we have plenty of new technologies producing loads of data, right? Mobile platform or cloud platform. Think about, AWS or Azure or GCP, all this cloud infrastructure there. We have all the 5G who is actually here, and all the telco provider has to log loads of data, especially for, think about the golden power regulation that we have. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, just type to Google golden power. You will see lots of stuff that telco have to do. We have IoT infrastructure, and we have multiple platforms, and we have loads of data. Maybe we want to do ML or artificial intelligence on it, right? And you have studied a lot of this topic together during this lesson, during the course actually. And we will see together how we can apply some machine learning techniques today to basically be able to detect and catch the bad actors. So what Splunk does, right? Splunk is able to collect all the data produced by all machine, basically, okay? As long as it is this machine produced, that's not a big deal. And we can ingest this data and bring them into what we call the data to everything platform, okay? So we can ingest this data on a big data platform, okay? And on top of that, we can build multiple cases. We have multiple use cases. The top common one that our customer basically usually ask us are the one that you see on the right corner. So sometimes customers have to basically be able to monitor the IT infrastructure. Think about customers who have to monitor, the uptime of servers, of firewalls, of switches, and applications and stuff like that. We will not go into this today, right? But this use case is possible as well. Security is another one, right? As I told you, today we will be digging into an APT campaign, right? And I will show you how we can use the data to everything platform and additional tools that we have on top of it just to be able to run the investigation together, right? And be able to catch the adversary there. The platform can be used also for DevOps. So in case you have to monitor the application performance, right? So you have an application and you have to understand, if it is performing well, if there is a bottleneck, if there is a small delay in the network, if there is a query consuming too many resources and stuff like that. Okay, and think about DevOps as well in the new cloud era, right? I don't know how much you are into the cloud, so the SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS infrastructure. But if you think as, you know, the new application, right, the one built on AWS, for example, you have to be able to monitor like the containers and Dockers, the Lambda functions, right, and stuff like that. So you have to spend lots of time. And of course, we can use our technology to monitor business processes as well, as long as we have the data for it, right? So that's another use case that we have. In a nutshell, right, with Splunk, right, we can basically ingest any data with any structure. We don't care if the data is structured, unstructured, semi-structured. We can ingest any structure from any source, as long as it is a machine at any time scale, right? And this allows us to implement monitoring, okay, for any use case, so IT, security, DevOps, and business, analyze the data, take action, investigate, and close the loop again, okay? So that's what we do in a nutshell, okay? Let me go to what we will be using today. Actually, I should say what you will be using today, okay? So this is what we will be using today for our exercise, okay? So as you can see at the bottom line, when you see the gray line, we have all the data sources there, okay? So our platform can ingest, you know, logs, business context, threat intelligence, traces, metrics, you name it, right? As long as it is machine produced, we can ingest it. Then we will bring this data into the platforms, which is basically the second line that you see, right? Where you see the platform line. This is the D2E, the data to everything platform, right? The stuff I was mentioning before. On top of that, you have what we call premium application. And this is what we will be using today, okay? So the very first element, if you look at the left-hand side of the slide, is the Splunk Enterprise Security. This is the CM that we will be using, right? So the security event, incident and event management platform that we will be using today. So it's a platform who is able, based on the logs contained into the platform, right, is able to identify incidents based on some rules, for example. And, you know, Francesco will show you something about that. But we have another piece of the analytics, right, on our platform, and this is probably very close to you in terms of the class that you are doing this year. And this is our Splunk user behavior analytics. It's basically our machine learning in a box tool. Okay, so this is able to process the data thanks to machine learning and analysis. And I'll tell you what. On top of that, the third platform, which is Splunk Phantom. We will not be using Phantom today, but you do have access to Phantom in case you want to practice. This is a platform that is a security orchestration, automation, and response. In a nutshell, allows to automate and orchestrate any action that you want, right? So think about, you have an indicator like an IP address, and you want to know where this IP is located, who this IP belongs to, if it is on a blacklist, and then maybe block on a firewall. That's something that Phantom can do, right? And at the top, you have the use cases, right? Today, we will be seeing basically the security monitoring and the advanced threat detection, right? But you can build much more on top of it, right? You know, fraud detection and compliance and stuff like that. Let me go quickly through one of the phases of the blocks and the tools that we have today and the tools that you will be using, right? The very first one is the SIEM part, right? What we call Splunk Enterprise Security. So as I told you before, so what this is basically a platform able to correlate logs and being able to catch incidents, right? So the way it works is that all the logs generated from network or endpoints or, you know, threat intel or, you know, malware stuff, you know, wire packets and, you know, whatever you have, right, can be easily ingested into a structure. And here we have loads of correlation rules, right? Correlation maybe based on a very simple logic. We can build on top of it some rules based on machine learning as well to catch some deviations and stuff similar like that. And what the SIEM produces as an output, and you will see that, right, during Francesco demo, is that it will basically produce incidents or potential incidents that an analyst has to investigate, right? So once you're able to correlate these logs, you catch incidents. We're able to associate these incidents to specific framework, right? There is the MITRE attack, which is one of them. This name might be new to you, right? So I do understand that, but feel free to Google for it, right? There is plenty of documentation on the internet, right? MITRE attack. Attack is spelled A-T-T and the E commercial CK, right? So look for it. And we're able also to basically to understand what's going on and be able to understand what is the best path to resolve the incident there, right? This is our first tool, and this is where we will be starting today. You will see Francesco starting from here, right? From enterprise security. The second point of the equation, which is another point of our analytics, is the UBA, right? So the machine learning in a box, okay? So what it does is it basically takes all the data from our platform and ingest into machine learning models, right? We can do, supervised and unsupervised machine learning into UBA, right? And you will see some anomalies generated, right? The way it works is super simple here, right? We get the data in, we do some baselining, and then we have the anomalies. Then there is a second layer of machine learning, which is able to do something different, right? So this is something that I expect you understand really well, right, from the training that you have done during the class. This is how it works in a nutshell, right? As I told you, we have the data sources and the very first layer of machine learning, okay? Here in this case, let's suppose unsupervised. We detect, the anomalies here. As you can see, there are multiple anomalies. There are 65 plus, like suspicious movement, unusual machine access, first risk user, blah, 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 and stuff like that, right? But anomalies can be noisy, right? Can generate loads of false positive. That's why we have a second layer of a combination between rules and machine learning, okay? There's a mix of both, which are able to basically aggregate the anomalies into what we call threats. And these are basically the incidents that we will go to investigate. And you will see this platform into Francesco demo because that's the second component that you will be using today. Okay, so keep that in mind. The very third component, something that, as I told you, we're not going to be using today, but you have the platform, feel free to play and drop me an email in case you have some difficulties and you want to experiment here, right? Is an orchestration platform, right? Security automation and orchestration. What it does is that it can get data out of the SIEM, basically, right? And then do some automatic investigation or some automatic task and some orchestration, right? So can enrich data, can close false positives automatically, can, for example, orchestrate some actions on, on the, network infrastructure or on the endpoints that you have. So think of it as the SIEM is basically the tool able to detect together with the UABA, and Phantom, with the SOAR platform, is the platform able to remediate or to help during investigation and remediation. Okay, so that comes later into the process. So what are we seeing today, right? Let me set you the scene for you quickly. So today, we are looking into a company. It's a brewery, right? Everybody loves beer, especially at this time of the day. Maybe it's too early, but it's never too early for a beer. It's a startup, right? And this is the layout of the organization. There are multiple roles in here, right? Very, very quickly. The CEO is basically, the head of the company. As you can see, is the founder there. And then you have other multiple roles, right? You have the marketing department on one side, the financial department on the other side. And then you as you can see, you have Fyodor Maltesco, which is basically the CTO. That's the technology part, right? So, potentially in the future, you might want to work in a company, under the CTO or under that kind of, organization. And here we will be basically impersonating Alice Bluebird. Bluebird is our analyst. She's the security ninja able to look into the incidents and be able to investigate them. Okay. So what happened? So basically, a couple of years ago, more than that actually, Frothley got hacked, right? She got compromised by an attacker and the data was stolen. Because of that, what the CEO did is basically hiring a new guy, right? The CEO said, okay, the infrastructure we have is old. We have to migrate to cloud and redesign the entire infrastructure. And they hired a guy, by the name of Budstall, the head of IT. And he started basically rebuilding the entire infrastructure, right? And the way he was doing that is using AWS, Office 365, Microsoft Azure, all the cloud infrastructure, right? Because that's easy, right? It's quicker, easy value for the money, and can provide a massive value. And this is the infrastructure he built so far. Okay, so I don't want to dig too much into the infrastructure, but as you can see, what I want you to focus on is that every piece of the infrastructure sends data into Splunk. Okay, so this is what we. So do you remember that I spoke about the data platform? So all the data goes into Splunk, and then on top of it we have ES, UBA, and Phantom, the tool that you are going to be using today. As I told you, you are Alice Bluebird, our security analyst, the ninja of the organization. And this is what happened, right? So on August 20th, 2018, Alice was enjoying her day, okay? She was home. She was not, in a business day because she was off, and she was enjoying her life, right? And she was at the pub, that seems to be like a Mexican thing. And she was drinking, like glass of, whatever might be a cocktail, apparently. And she got a call from Grace Hoppy. So you might not remember who Grace Hoppy was in the org chart, but she was the CEO, so the big boss of the company, right? And basically, what Grace Hoppy tells to Alice is, hey, it seems that we got hacked again. There are loads of stuff that is not working properly in our organization. We really need your help, right? And because Alice, knows that Grace never calls for false emergency, she ran to the office. She logged in on her Splunk Enterprise Security, and you guys can do that now on your Enterprise Security. You have the link, the URL and credentials to log in. And she sees loads of alert, right? So as you remember, this is the SIEM platform, correlates basically the incidents, right, the logs, and detect incidents. And there are also some UBA anomalies, and Francesco will guide you into this as well. So what she sees, it's something that she doesn't like at all, okay? Because looking at what she can see here, apparently, right, there is a new APT actor attacking the brewery, right? Ted Donggang is an APT, so he's a threat actor that attacked, fraudulently in the past as well. And she starts looking into some threat intelligence. So there are companies providing information about, attackers. And what she sees is that, so what she knows about the threat actor is summarized by this slide, right? There are a couple of campaigns. One is stout and the other is lager, two names of a beer. This is called the diamond model. Let me quickly go through how you read it. Basically, there are two axes, the horizontal one, which is basically the technical axis, and you have the vertical axis, which is basically social political. This is an adversary nation state. It's located in a +8 time zone, uses Korean encoded language, and apparently, right, it basically target victims on, the western side of the globe, and mainly breweries, microbreweries there. If you look on the social political axis, you will see that these guys are using PowerShell Empire. That's a tool. You can Google it. We will see how it more or less works later. We will see the, the traces it leaves, and uses spear phishing as well. So emails sent with an attachment into it or a link into it, right? And usually host command and control infrastructure into European VPS server, right? That's the Stout campaign. There is a similar one, Lager, which uses, kind of different things, but more or less is, quite similar, what I should say. So starting from here, right? Starting from the infrastructure we have, starting from, the threat intel information that we have, this is basically where we start our story today, okay? So open your browser, or, the one who have basically access to it. You should have some links for ES, UABA, and Phantom. Log in on ES and UABA, okay? And once you are on the interface, you are ready to start our investigation with Francesco. So that was a very quick introduction for myself, and sorry, but I speak way too much. I leave the floor to Francesco now that will drive you on the investigation. So be ready to replicate what Francesco is showing you on a slide, right? Francesco will show you exactly where you have to click, what you have to select, and we will basically have, start doing some consideration together. So Francesco, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Antonio. And let's start with our day-by-day job. As Antonio said, today we are Alice Bluebeard. We are we are part of a team of the SOC team, the Security Operations Center team, and in our day-by-day job, we will start from the CM. In this case, what you see here is enterprise security, that is the Splunk CM solution. So gain access to the UI and move to the incident review you see on top. Go ahead, Antonio, with the next slide, because probably it will be even easier. When you will have access to the system, you will see that on the top left side, there are several hubs modules. This is the names that we use Splunk. And you have to click in enterprise security. You can do it even a different way, like you can see in the slide. And after clicking in enterprise security, please click on incident review. You see some numbers here. That means that we will go through 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, but before to start, what you see here is all the list of the incidents or the alerts that the CM is creating for you using correlation rules based on signature-based rules, machine learning rules, and so on. And what we are asking to you is, because of the incident Antonio told you before, click on the time picker in order that you can select the day of the potential attack, that is the one that you see here on the screen, and go for apply in order that you can see, like it's in the next slide. Next slide, Maria. Thanks. You will see the alerts regarding that day. And what we are asking here, again, is, okay, let's go for a filter. And in order to focus our attention on what we have to take care, based on the incident that we have to work on. And to do that, again, you see number 1, click on the status, add new, then select threat, you see, in the security domain. And finally, click submit in order that we can filter, and we will see, doing that, this other screen where, as you can see, we are less alerts because we are filtering just on the new incident, on the domain threat. And what you will see is those alerts that you see on the screen on this slide. For those one, we are moving our attention to the third one. So let's go on the number 3, suspicious behavior. It's the first one of the 2 suspicious behavior. And please click on you see, like in the screen, in order to see more information on that alert. You want to give have more context on what is related to this alert. You see that there is a description. There are several type of information. We'll have a view on that. But one point here that you have to keep in mind is you see in the description that is reported the UEBA. It looks that this alert in our CM is coming from another system that is the WEBA 1 that Antonio told you before. That is our machine learning engine able to detect anomalies and threat like 0-day using machine learning models and so on. So this is something that we see then here in the screen with a description and other information. Scroll down on this context, because what really cares
There are any questions from my students? If it's possible, turn on the webcam, so it's easier also to see. Uber Fonisto?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. First of all, thanks for the great presentation. I really liked it. One thing, I mean, is kind of a curiosity of mine. What I saw is that you have to know a lot about tons of things, like the Windows events that I don't know personally. So my question was like, what do we have to know in order to be like good in this kind of things? Because from my side, what I can see is that you have to know pretty much, I mean, not everything, but a lot about IT security and stuff like that. If you will give us an advice, what are like the most important topics that we have to like know really well in order to be good at it?
That's a very, very good question, and I guess I can take forever to answer appropriately, actually. So the bottom line, the easy answer is the more you know, the better, right? So what you should know, what you really need to have is a very good understanding of network, right? How network works, right? In terms of topology, routing, internal, external communication, NATing, and stuff like that. And something which is necessary as well is a very good knowledge of at least one operating system, right? Hopefully, the best of it would be knowing, Windows at least and Linux or Unix kind of operating system, because this will help. And the more you know about the internals, the better. Now, don't think that you have to start, the very first day of your job and you have to know everything, right? Because that's a learning exercise, right? The more you investigate, right, the more you're able to understand the new tricks they're using, or the new registry key they must be using and stuff like that. But usually there are 3 ingredients that I usually recommend to my students as well. First one, network and network topology. Second one is at least a very good knowledge of one operating system. The third one is a scripting language, right? So either Python or PowerShell are the 2 top things that I would really recommend. So that's the knowledge area I would probably go and investigate, right? Keep in mind that, again, it's a learning exercise, right? We know what we know because we work in this field since 15 years, 20 years, more or less. So that's easier for us. I do understand that from a student point of view, that might sound kind of black magic and weird. I get your point. It's not that though, right? It's a matter of learning as you practice.
Okay, so like learning by doing, kind of.
Learning by doing.
I mean, you have to know a lot, but also like
there are also
like
some
practicing.
Training you can take and certification you can take, right, Mattia? It really depends. For example, there are really great kind of certifications. If you are into the offensive kind of thing, you can look into the offensive security training, right? And take the offensive security certified professional training, right? Which is a pain, to be honest with you. It's really hard, but it's fun, right? You will learn plenty of stuff.
It seems painful.
Well, it is, and actually, the exam is like a 24 hours long exam, right? So you have to do a real pen test and produce a real report, right? It's kind of tough, but really worth it. It basically is worth every single penny you spend.
Okay. Anyway, it's an hard work. You need to know a lot of things, especially for process, for scripting, especially for environment. As normally say during my course, the security is not only technologies, it's a process, because you know everything, and also you need to apply the correct process in order to investigate better what's happened. Anyway, there is other my students in call. I don't know if there is Matrone, Uber, Sant'Agata.
Yeah, I got a question. Fresh question.
If you can turn on the webcam, it could be easier also for us.
Well, actually, hello everyone. It's again me. Well, actually, my question regards the state of the art in security. security sometimes might feel a bit shaky about new threats. I mean, the new threat vector usually is difficult to identify and to spot, okay? So I noticed that working on Splunk, that it has the machine learning toolkit and the deep learning toolkit, which might, however, really facilitate how the threats are detected. However, the point is that usually it is really a learning by doing approach, okay? I've just worked on some reinforcement learning approach, okay, for the security, because we can just state the entire SOC as a state space, okay? So you got different actions you can take, you got different observation you can make, and so on and so forth. Moreover, the anomaly detection and the rule-based detection, I mean, the rule-based detection is really weak, okay? Because the attacker will know the rule at the step T-1, at the step T will reproduce the same threat without impacting the rule, so there is no issue at all. But the anomaly detection aspect is really interesting, and I mean, have you seen different approaches to Splunk, with deep learning toolkit up to now? Have you, because Splunk community is a bit closed, okay? So you can ask something if you are in the Splunk community, and I've been there for at least 1 year. Now I am in another department of Accenture, so I'm working on research and development one. But however, my impression is that, yeah, okay, there is a Git, yeah, okay, there are different implementation and so forth, and so on and so forth. However, if someone external wants, just by curiosity, okay, wants to view something, cannot view anything. That's the point. So what's your impression up to now of the state of the technology?
So let me start, and then we'll leave the floor to Francesco, who is, by the way, when you said machine learning toolkit, you triggered him, right? So because
I know perfectly. I noticed.
Because Francesco loves the tool.
So, I think you triggered most of us.
So the bottom line is that I hear you, right? Rules are one approach, are kind of old approach, and because are somehow easy to bypass, right? I don't know if you are familiar with the pyramid of pain concept.
We are starting a discussion during my course, but when we speak about threat intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
By myself, I know it by myself because the piece is something we do. So
it's a concept by David Blanco, basically, right? And what he says is that if you it's easy to change an IP address or a URL, right? It's a pain changing a process or a technique you're using, right? So if instead of focusing on the rule part, right? If on the rule part, instead of being able to catch one IP, you're able to catch a technique, right, or a procedure, then you make attacks life tougher because it's not easy to modify a technique or a procedure, right? So that's one thing. The other thing you have to keep in mind when you discuss about machine learning approach, and I might sound unpopular in a machine learning class. Machine learning class is not a free. Machine learning is not a free meal, right? In a SOC, right? It comes with false positive as a cost, right? So it's a very good approach, right? And the very first thing that usually I have to clarify with my customer, they think they can pump any data into a machine learning algo and get out something out of it, right? And we know, right, because we all studied ML, is that if you put, garbage in, you get garbage out, right? Because the model is not magic, right? You have to filter the data appropriately and you have to cure the data in the right way if you want to get something out of it. So these are the two things. Yes, you can use machine learning, the machine learning toolkit, and I don't know if the deep learning toolkit has been used so far, but if you want to have a look at what our customers have been doing, for example, some of them, multiple of them, if you go on conf.splunk.com, which is basically our annual conference website, we share there all the videos and presentations of our customers. And filtering by machine learning and machine learning toolkit, you can see multiple customers who have been using machine learning to detect something, right? Yeah. There is a very nice presentation by Siemens, if I'm not mistaken, Francesco, online, which is using machine learning to detect something really, really specific. And that's potentially is the best way to be successful in adopting ML in the SOC, right? Yeah, you have to be specific and you have to know what you're looking for, right? I was having this discussion yesterday with a customer, right? He said to me, oh, you know what? I want to be able to detect like uncommon command pattern on the 5G appliances that we are deploying all over, right? Because that's the time. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me, but I have no idea what to do, or which kind of algo should I be using, you know, how should I prepare my data, which feature I should select and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's pretty common.
We basically are saying that, you know, you don't know anything about what you want to do, right? So that's the other thing that I guess we have to pay attention. And the big value all guys have is that you know stuff, you know ML, you know what feature selection is, you know how painful can be selecting the right feature, right? Yeah. Or how painful is selecting the right model to make the right, you know, detection.
Yeah, that's right.
Just information for you, for all, Giacomo. Currently, we have two models, two apps, Machine Learning Toolkit and the Deep Learning that you mentioned before. Yeah. The deep learning was built with in mind a thing that is this one. You know that if you work in security, you are a domain expertise of security. You cannot be an expertise of machine learning, algorithms, and so on. But you know that in the SOC now, companies are hiring also data scientists. Yeah. That know the algorithms, but we don't know about security. They have a different type of expertise, but they can be useful. They will be useful because of the, you know, the zero-day attacks and so on. Okay. Yeah. So what we did in Splunk was to develop this app, and there is also another news that is coming from our last event. I will tell you later. That app, the deep learning, is leveraging the Jupyter Notebook, Anaconda, you know.
Okay. Yeah. I can just tell you that I performed this kind of leveraging just some months before in October 2019. I mean, last year, I just built a server with a Splunk server inside. And with a Docker, I just connected the Splunk with the Python to leverage Jupyter Lab Notebook in external port. So I know perfectly that the implementation was going that direction.
Yeah, so. The message here is that we are trying, it's not just a question of machine learning engine.
Yeah,
it's a question of to bring together two different worlds, expert in security and expert in algorithms.
Yeah, perfect.
So that app is with in mind the concept to build a bridge.
Yeah.
So this is and also just this one, and then I will say our last news from .conf, our worldwide event. We are releasing a framework, even going even over the deep learning and the machine learning toolkit, putting all together just in one framework. So that is the direction to fix not just the features problems, but data analytics problems, algorithms, and so on.
Yeah. Okay. Something useful for you guys, because you are ML expert. So you can go on Splunk.com. You can download Splunk, right, as a platform which you can install. Once you have installed, what we didn't tell you, and we should have told you, is that Machine Learning Toolkit and Deep Learning Toolkit are free applications you can download and deploy, right?
Yeah, and they're free.
And they're free. So
free of charge.
Online, you can go online, right? Download, deploy your system or Splunk on your system, get some data in, deploy MLTK and Deep Learning Toolkit, and start, playing with it, right?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
How easy it is to plug in your own algorithm?
That's pretty easy because we have a language called SPL, which probably Giacomo knows really well. It's a syntax we use to search, and we basically use SPL command to apply models to data, right? So you just have to say, hey, fit the data, this data into this model, do a fit, and it will do a fit for you.
But you can use your algorithm if you want, because yes, you can use. There is a documentation on the way you can use your algorithm, and then, like Antonio said, just to have at the end of the story, just easy commands instead of dealing with the complex parameter on the algorithm. So you can do that.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks, Antonio and Francesco. In case you can share with me this kind of documentation or links, so we can share with my student or the rest of the guy. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Can I just say a few words? First of all, thank you very much for the lecture, which was very interesting, and this is not a lie. I mean, it was truly interesting. And by the way, we also reached the peak of almost 80 people, which is quite a success for such a topic. This is an independent confirmation of the quality of what you did. And I hope that some of the students will be so interested in what you say that they will try to have thesis in or stages in this field. And so I have an obvious question. Is your company prone to host students for stage internship or so on?
So it's something that we usually do as a company before COVID and the pandemic. That was a mess. So now the process is a bit frozen there. But in case any of the students really want to do a thesis, right? I'm a lecturer at the Politecnico di Milano, here in Milan. I'm not the formal professor, right? I'm supporting a professor to deliver a course, basically a class. I usually do 20, 30 hours per year. And they usually have some students doing their thesis with me. So in case any of you wants to do a thesis, right? And have Mattia spotting a nice, good topic for you guys, or anybody of the other professors who might have, I'm super keen on working with you in a thesis, right? Supporting you and guiding you and being basically your correlator there, your professor, helper in the thesis there. So absolutely willing to do that.
Yeah, well, this is quite good. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. And thanks again for inviting us, Giuseppe. It has been a real pleasure also.
Thank you for coming.
To share our experience with the guys.
Okay, if there are any kind of question, we can close this workshop. Giuseppe, I don't know that you want to add any questions. If you think we can try to close.
You can close. I did my final comment. You can close.
Okay, wonderful. First of all, thank you, Antonio and Francesco. It was a very pleasure for us to invite you and have you and Francesco in this workshop. That's all, and keep in touch in case, and share me any kind of information that we can using also for my course and also for sharing with the other guy, because the topic is very, very interesting. I think not only for my students or net security students, but in general for every people that want to know better how work the cyber security aspects. Okay. Thank you. Simon Pietro, do you want to add some info? Yeah. To do
First off, I would like to thank you and Giuseppe for organizing this, and I would like to thank Antonio and Francesco for this definitely interesting seminar lecture that they offered to us. As you might know, I'm obviously always prone to somehow stimulating cross-fertilization activities, and this is what has happened today, because part of the class today was composed of students from my network security class. And just for everybody to know, obviously, as it came out from the lecture today, there are a number of topics that people should be aware of when addressing security issues. And as Antonio was saying, part of such topics falls into the field of networking protocols and operating systems, and I would even dare to say computer architectures, because if you talk about buffer overflow, you need to be aware of what a processor is all about. So there are places at the university, at the academy, where you can study these things. So if you just happen to become passionate about security, there are options also as students of the data science class for inserting a couple of classes that fall under the realm of these different topics. And for example, Enrico Huber, who is one of your students, is doing such an experience. So as I usually say, let's try and foster further cross-fertilization activities, because these might be really useful to you. And for example, Mattia's question was definitely about this. But that's it. Thanks a lot.
If I can comment on this, I mean, well, basically we are exactly on the same line. I mean, cross-fertilization was the reason behind the entire laurea in data science.
Pepe, we all know very well this.
Exactly, we know each other very well. So I mean,
the series is about that.
Yeah, exactly. Because data science is about cross-fertilization. Yeah. To be sincere, I mean, and I like very much when our speakers say that the more you know, the better it is, which is exactly the mantra which I am repeating almost every time to our students. I mean, it's a matter of doing, but it's also a matter of reading, exploring the literature, having ideas, putting them under test. I mean, so it's a fantastic, fascinating field. Exhausting, but fascinating field.
Yeah, and it's a field that never sleeps, right?
Exactly. That's fine.
So we are learning every single day, guys. I mean, not because we're in this field since like 20 years, we know everything, right? Sometimes we read stuff and we say, oh my God, what's that, right? You have to go through the documentation and go through it, right? And really, you know, Francesca was chatting, you know, offline with me. And I mean, if you want to go through, for example, and see how the machine learning toolkit works and want to do another workshop, feel free to invite. Pietro was discussing about buffer overflow. Do you want to learn how buffer overflow works? Feel free to engage us, right? I was teaching buffer overflow to my students, so that's an easy one as well. So super happy to share whatever we know with you, right? What we don't know, maybe you can teach us, you know, just as a change some ML, right? Because we are kind of rusty. We had to basically learn from our on our own, right? Not from a professor, right? Teaching us all the right stuff.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I want to thank Mattia Siciliano for inviting you. That was a really good idea.
Thank you, Mattia.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Thank you
very much.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.